Hello, everyone, and welcome to Power Hour. Today's topic is Microsoft's new Copilot Studio agents. They're AI powered. So we're going to try it out and talk and let you know everything about them. And here's the stinger. All right, so Power Hour is a show that we've been doing for about 11 years. I'm Laura Rogers. This is Joelle Jobson. And welcome. You all voted. I send out a newsletter the day before with the topics to vote for. So you all overwhelmingly voted for the new Copilot Studio agents. And they just announced these. This just went live Monday, 2 days ago. So it's pretty new and exciting. So we'll demonstrate it. I do have a few slides, like Microsoft slides about it to kind of help explain some of it. But we're basically going to copilotstudio.microsoft.com and we're going to try it out. So there are new agents out there that are AI powered, and there are templates too to get you started so that you don't, if you've never built an agent before, so that you could use the templates and try them out to kind of understand better how they work. Just like I talk about with a lot of the templates and all these various products in Microsoft 365, they're great learning tools. So let's go ahead and talk about, we have done Power Hours about Copilot Studio before, and before that it was called Power Virtual Agents. So we have taught y'all this a few times. So you'll see a few things that are familiar in here, but we're mainly going to focus on what they do currently with these and how the new agents work. So welcome in the chat. We have a lively chat going on in Teams where we can have discussions, ask questions. And so we're watching the chat and kind of let us know. And so you are also in our tenant. You can request to join so that you are all external users in our tenant. And you might be able to try some of this out. I put a link in the notes. So in Teams, in this channel that you're in, there is a Notes tab, and the Notes tab has a bunch of links, and one of the links is an agent that I just already created so that you could try it out. It's a weather agent. So there's a link to that too, but I'll be going through the process. We'll look at the weather agent that I built, but we'll go through the process of building a new one, and then we'll talk about and build them with the templates too. So I think I'll go ahead and just build a new one from scratch first, and then kind of dig into the templates, and because they kind of have different functionalities and things to be able to highlight. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so this is where we're starting. Copilotstudio.microsoft.com. And this is where they even have the templates right here on the front page to show you this easy way that you can start with these templates. You also have this easy, just like with Power Apps and Power Automate, you have this nice little AI powered box at the top to go ahead and start creating your Copilot that way. So you literally don't even have to click anywhere from this main screen. You could just start typing and describe what you want your Copilot to do. So that's one of the big things in AI and Copilot that we're all kind of getting used to, is the concept of writing these prompts and being able to write your prompts in a very descriptive and detailed way to be able to get everything you want out of whatever AI you're interacting with. So writing a great prompt is going to be helpful. Now, as far as, so when it comes to real quick, just what an agent is, these can connect to your website and other applications, and they can also be added to Microsoft 365 Copilot, Power Platform, and Dynamics. You can get very advanced with kind of sales and finance and customer service. So there are a lot. Now, we're at the power user end of the spectrum. We're at the kind of easy end user, power user level. So that's kind of the simple down here. We kind of keep everything in Power Hour more towards power users. We don't necessarily ever get into anything super complex or writing code or dev, because we are not programmers. So this is where I usually kind of translate and try to make everything understandable to people who are not necessarily super technical, just business users, power users. So this is showing you the spectrum of how complex you can get. So you have IT help desk agents, project tracker agents can be pretty simple, and you can go all the way up the spectrum to more advanced with tying into your own company databases and things like that, and getting extremely detailed. So this is where we're starting right now with Copilot Studio, and this is the screen that we're on. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the slides. I just wanted to show you a few slides, just kind of introducing this and what the concept of agents are. So there are a lot of ideas that you can have. I want you to start thinking. So as I'm building this agent, I want you to start thinking about your company and your processes and things that take a lot of time, maybe at work, that you might want to make more efficient. So if your HR department is always getting a bunch of calls or is spending a lot of time having to answer questions and things like that, this is something like that that's going to take that away and make it a lot more simple. So I'll go ahead and go straight to, now this is my Copilot Studio. So let's take a look at Create. So when we start creating it, just like I mentioned, you could just start typing on that first screen, but I'll go ahead and just click New Copilot. So look how simple this is. It's not overwhelming. It doesn't have a lot of buttons. It's just, hey, tell me what you want your Copilot to do and be. So since we are IW Mentor, a Microsoft 365 training company, I'll go ahead and just kind of gear that towards us and our content. So I'm going to say, create an agent that helps visitors to our training site to find courses they need at com. And so I'm just going to keep it pretty simple. It helps to kind of let it know the tone, but this Copilot is going to actually ask me questions like, what should the tone be? Like friendly or professional or witty or something like that. So see, it says your Copilot will assist visitors to your training site by helping them find the courses they need. Do you have any instructions on how your Copilot should assist? For example, a specific tone. So it pretty much asks that every time. If you don't tell it, tone is professional and friendly. I've never really tried anything like weird, like silly or mean, or so that would be kind of fun to see what some other tones could be. All right, so got it. Your Copilot will have a professional and friendly tone. Where should the Copilot find important information? So I already have provided my website, and it's actually going to add that as a resource. So I've already got that in here, so I'll go ahead and just click Create. Now, you don't have to do this part where you're having this conversation and describing what you want it to do. You could just skip this and go straight to the configuration screens, but this is kind of the whole point of how powerful these agents are, that you can just describe it and it will build it out for you. So this could be an 8-hour power hour. There is a lot that you can do in Copilot Studio. So what we're doing is, again, we're just gearing this towards kind of getting started and how you can build agents and use these templates and how quickly and easily it is. And then there are 100 different things you can do as far as ramping it up and getting more technical and more complicated and tapping into dynamics and things like that. So it says my Copilot's ready. Here's what's next. So it has not published or anything. It's just ready. So it's always going to have this panel on the right side to test your Copilot. And so I can already start asking it questions. Now it says add data files and other resources to inform and improve AI generated responses. So I told it my website when I was first describing it. And last time I tried this and I mentioned the website, it actually put it in here as knowledge, but this time I'm not sure why, but it didn't. So I'll go ahead and just add that. So this is going to be where you have any websites where it's going to be able to just get those answers. So I'll just put my own blog site too. So this is going to be IW Mentor. And you can put little descriptions of these too. And it's like verify that you are the owner of these websites. These are your websites. So now those are added, and now I'll be able to ask it some questions about, let's see, how can I learn Power Automate? And hopefully it will have references that take you to my website. Yeah, so now it has this, look at this big long description. It is already giving me, letting me know the links to the, Power Automate Basics, my course, Power Automate Advanced, my course. And then this is a, just like a generic web page that just has an overview of the courses, but it got these descriptions and all this information just off my website that quickly. So in the past, when we have learned about Power Virtual Agents, Copilot Studio, we actually had to build all of the responses out. So that's the huge thing about this having AI in here now, is that it is a lot less time consuming, and it can just tap directly into those references, those knowledge areas, and just have the answers for people. So now let's go look at, we'll go ahead and do a couple, I'll go ahead and publish this, and then we'll go through a couple of those templates, because there are a lot of kind of concepts in here that the different templates are going to have and they're going to have different things built in. So it's going to be a great way for us to kind of explore what it puts in here as far as like different connectors to systems and databases and things. So I'll go ahead and publish this. And let's see. I think I can make this available to you all in Teams too. Well, I know I can because I made the weather one available to you. Has anybody been able to try out? Click on that link that I put in the chat. Let me see. Here's our chat, and here is the notes, and then here is right here. This is the weather Copilot. So it's just click that URL, and that should let you ask about the weather when you click on it. So that's where that is. And here's our chat. So yeah, in case you're joining for the first time, that's how to get to the chat. Okay. So it says my Copilot's ready, and it's got just kind of some extra information for me. Now it does tell me that I published it, and it's got some settings that I can look at in here. I can change the icon, so I can put my own company icon in here. I've got logos. So I'll put an IW Mentor logo and save that. And then close my settings. And then when it goes to channels, that is where are you going to where will people be able to use this agent? So I'm going to use Teams, and because you all are in Teams, so I'll go ahead and turn on the ability to use this agent in Teams. And as you'll be able to see in a minute, that this whole process of creating a new agent has been extremely quick and easy. So I'll go ahead and say availability options, and I want to show it to everybody in my org. If I wanted to just have it available as an app for everybody in my org, I could submit it for admin approval. But what I can do is just copy this link. So this link is going to take my published app, and I'll put it in the chat. And hope y'all try that out and let me know what you think about it, and if you're able to ask it questions about our training courses. And I think it should use those knowledge references I gave it as like top priority when you ask it, how can I learn SharePoint, or what course would teach me whatever. So y'all give it a shot. Now, what we're going to do next is that was just a quick, easy Copilot with not much configuration. I'll go ahead and go back to the home page, and so you can see that one here. And I'll go ahead and I could start with a template here. I could just go to the create screen. It shows you a lot of templates that are upcoming here too. So let me go ahead and show you real quick, get back to just a couple more slides that are going to show you some of this terminology. So this is, it's got templates, it's got natural language where you can create your Copilot that way, but it also still has this visual canvas, just like with Power Virtual Agents. And then it's got the ability to just kind of tailor it to your own knowledge, your own links. It's got actions we'll be able to create. This particular agent didn't have any actions, and then it's got logic and channels. Now, channels are going to be, that's kind of what I was mentioning as far as where people will be able to use that agent. So this is just a screenshot of basically some of the sources that you would be able to use as knowledge sources. I just used public website for mine, but you're going to be able to have content in a lot of different places that you can tap into with your agent. So I'll just go ahead and go back to, see, I'm just kind of sprinkling the slides in. I didn't want this to be a big salesy thing. So let me go back to the one, so y'all were mentioning that it said the app wasn't available. Let me go make sure that I can go to the link real quick. And so I need to go to channels and then teams and then open Copilot. Let's see. Yeah, I'll go ahead and open it in Teams. Oh, and then I have to add it. Oh, this happened to me the first time I did it. So I clicked to, for some reason, I just had to do it twice. So let me go back to that. And copy link. Oh, wait, I already copied the link to the clipboard. So this little pop-up comes on the screen that says, like, you're adding an app to Teams. And then the first time it gives you an error. And then the second time it says it was added successfully. So now it added it successfully. So I don't know if because now I've added it successfully that you all will be able to get to it. But this right here, this is the reason that I did the weather one ahead of time before Power Hour, and I tested it so that you could at least be trying that one. Just in case the second one, of course, when I try it live, in case it wouldn't work. So, all right, let's go back to, here's our conversation. All right, now we'll do a template. Get out of Teams here. And hopefully that link will work for y'all now. Okay, create. And I'm gonna do this the travel one. I always do travel requests as a lot of demos that I do. So travel requests are going to be good, good thing to test. All right, Safe Travels Copilot. It's already got the name and the description, instructions, and it's already got the US travel website is what it is going to base it on. So I just click create. So it's got everything in there already. And now I have a travel Copilot. So I'd like to travel to yeah. Y'all let me know if y'all are able to get to that weather one. Yeah, the weather one, that's the one I had tested ahead of time. So the weather one is going to work. All right. So now look at this. So it's tapped into this weather resource, this US travel website. I can go look at it. I can go see what is the website. It's travel.state.gov. So that lets me kind of at least tap into looking at where that website is. And then it's letting me know I am going to be in Stockholm for ESPC conference in December. And so this is letting me know everything I need to know about traveling to Sweden and, passports and things like that. So that's what it does. So let's go look at what it has built in. So it has this public website as its knowledge. And then, so with topics, we used to have to build these out, like with Power Virtual Agents. This was how you had the conversation. You had to define all of your topics. But now that we have AI, like notice that this, I'd like to travel to, it's not listed anywhere in here. There aren't any actions in this one. Analytics are going to tap into Power BI, and that's going to tell you information, just analytics about people using that agent. And then of course, channels is where do you want to publish it to? So notice up here, because I chose Teams, only Teams channels available. So even though all these are lit up and technically I could click on them, it's not going to let me use any of these because I haven't changed my authentication. So that's going to be just what you get out of the box. Now I want to try a couple of other ones. I didn't publish that one, but I want to go ahead and show you a couple of these other templates. So this one says Team Navigator. That's going to be for, and also there's documentation on all of these as well. And I put that link in the chat too for it. So Team Navigator, that's for finding people in your company. That's going to be helpful, especially for big companies. You have an IT help desk, resolve issues with your computer, frontline workers for store operations, case management, and then inclusivity, sustainability, and then the weather is the one that I used before. So I'll go ahead and try case management. I wonder what case management is going to tap into. Oh, ServiceNow. Okay, so notice that it's got ServiceNow as a connector. So for case management, we don't have ServiceNow at our company. So this is not going to be a good template that I can use, because on this very first screen, it shows me where it's connecting to. So for example, with the weather one that I did a little while ago, it prompted me to set up my connection. So this is just like the connectors in Power Apps and Power Automate, where you just have to confirm and it authenticates you to that connector. That's exactly what that is. But MSN Weather is just a free connector that anybody can have. But ServiceNow is very specific, where your company would have purchased ServiceNow. You have all your help tickets in there. So I'll click cancel on this one too. So I want to see, yeah, IT Help Desk also connects to ServiceNow. And then let's see, store operations. So that has got a Microsoft Store that it's going to tap into. So that could be kind of fun. So think about if for your company, if your company sells some sort of product, this would be a great one for having information about your products that people can ask about on the website. So it says, you can answer questions about policies and procedures and help you look up information. Anytime you use these templates, it has a template documentation right here when you're in the chat agent. So notice when I'm hovering over documentation. So this has all of the documentation for all of these different agents that you'll for these templates. So this is every single one of these has a video describing it. It's extremely detailed. Microsoft is gone like extremely detailed with all the documentation and online information about all of these. So that's my store operations, that link that it takes me to. And notice it's suggesting things for me to ask about. Can you change the connector on templates? So yes, you can. Let me go ahead and see. Shirt. Let me do this real quick. We'll go look at all the settings next. So this has got a flow. All right. Now, I think we've done this in a previous Power Hour where you can use these actions here, and we'll go into kind of what they look like. But this is what it's doing, is it's actually kicking off a flow, and it's kind of suggesting. So this is really just a placeholder. So a lot of these just have placeholders to kind of teach you what you would be putting here. That's why I say the templates are a great learning tool. So this has a placeholder to where you could go find the product in whatever database you have your products in, a SharePoint list, a Dataverse, SQL, wherever they are. And then you would use a flow to go, or an HTTP connect to go tap into that database. So obviously these agents don't have databases built into these templates, but that's something that it's suggesting here that you can add. So that's my store operations. Let's go see. So it's got a couple of Microsoft websites that it taps into. It's got some things about products in here. Like find product. This is like if somebody asks to find a product, this is where they've defined the topic to go search for the product and give a message if it can't find a product. So this is all defined. So with these new agents, you can have a combination of defining topics of things that you expect people to be asking about, like you kind of had to do in the past with Power Virtual Agents, and a combination of that and AI just tapping into that source and kind of knowing what to ask about, what to do next. So, right. So now let's go back to, we'll go through, I'm going to have a couple more slides and then we'll kind of dig in the settings. Again, we're not doing anything super advanced. This is more of a overview of how easy agents are and what concepts are of what you can do with them. So let me, so this is an example of these actions. And this is, I love that they have this in a slide because, you know, that's pretty involved to kind of start building out flows and having it tap into databases and spreadsheets and things like that. So think about when you're building a Power Automate flow. It's a very familiar interface here. So when you're creating an action, you can search for them, but it also has some just kind of showing on this front screen, like tapping into Dataverse. So you can do pre-built connectors, just like with Power Automate and Power Apps. You can, if you have a dev or if you are a dev, you can build custom connectors too, just like with those other products. And you can actually build flows so that you can kick off a flow, Power Automate flow, even Power Automate desktop flows. And then skills are going to be where you use Azure Bot Framework as a skill, or it's going to have a few skills that we'll kind of take a look at that screen too. So this has, now this is kind of what I was talking about a second ago with the topics. So you can have complete control over your critical scenarios, like the main things that you think that people are going to be asking about with your topics. But you can also enable them to automatically select the most appropriate action and just mix together this generative and custom dialogue. And so that's what it's doing. It's mixing together what you've defined as topics with just the fact that it's AI and it can tap into those sources. Rebecca says, how would you assign the agent to a site? That's when you go to channels and you pick the site that you're going to be publishing it to. So this is right here. So that's a perfect lead in, Rebecca, to this next slide that says channels. So you can publish and deploy to your channels of choice. So what I did was I just published that weather one to Teams, but you can have a demo website, which I've done that one in the past when we did a Power Hour about Power Virtual Agents, where it just builds you just this kind of little fake public website that you can test and just go to and try it out. Custom website would be if I wanted to actually go to iwmentor.com and publish this custom Copilot to my own website. And then, of course, you have Facebook, Slack, Skype. I don't know why Skype is on here. Wow, that's old. Slack and all these other kind of different systems and databases that you can connect to. So, and it's got a ton of them listed here. So that, I think that answers your question. So, analytics, blah, blah, blah. All right, so let's go look at the one that I created with this IW Mentor Course Assistant. And we'll just dig in here and what we're going to do is just get familiar with getting around in here and kind of what things are and what's possible with it. So this is just my overview. I've got my knowledge, which is going to be, right now I just have my blog site and my website here. They don't have necessarily priorities or anything. It doesn't have like a move up, move down. So it's just going to tap into all that data on those websites. But when I click add knowledge, this is where you can tap into, look at all these other places you can get your data. So like if I have all my information in SharePoint, like think about that HR hub. Last week on Power Hour, we built an HR hub And I showed you a couple of different ways where you could do that. Well, I could put SharePoint in here to be able to tap into maybe a certain SharePoint site. So maybe if my human resources department has all the policies and procedures and benefits and everything like that in SharePoint, I could just tap directly into that. I could just upload files directly into here. So as you can see, it's got a lot of different databases that we'll be able to tap into. Even the competitor Salesforce is in here, which is like a competitor to Dynamics 365. So that's where you can tap into your sources. Now, I've noticed that it still just uses the internet as a source. So when I was testing my IW Mentor chatbot that I created, and I was asked it something very specific, like that I knew that I had written blog posts on about how to do a certain thing in Flow, and it sent me to the Microsoft documentation on that, just kind of generic documentation. So I feel like, I started kind of explaining to the agent that I needed it to prioritize my website over the public information, because when people are asking that question about how to build a button in SharePoint to kick off a flow, I want it to take them to my blog post about that. Could you publish it to an intranet that doesn't have a Teams channel? That's going to be more of just embedding it on a website, which would be more of like that custom website option, because it has to give you the ability to embed it on the website with embed code, etc. All right, so it even has SharePoint server in here. So I think that's like actually on-premises server. All right, so then we have topics, which the topics are going to be, again, we've covered this before when we talked about Power Virtual Agents, and when we talked about Copilot Studio. Topics are going to be where you define what specifically that you want it to ask. Like this is an example. It has a lot of examples in here. So for example, if someone asks one of these phrases, this is the path that I want it to go down. So it's like a little workflow. So you have the message, that's what it's going to say back to the person. And then it's got the questions that it's going to ask the person. And then depending on what they respond, it goes down different paths, again, just like a workflow. So these are great examples that all these agents have built into them. So you can see kind of how all that actually works. But again, this is something that I'm not going to delve into too deeply in this session, since that's not really one of the new functionalities that I wanted to highlight. Now, it has actions here, and that it also shows actions in the overview. But I noticed that in some of Microsoft's documentation, it has triggers too. So that triggers have just not arrived yet in my tenant. But triggers are going to be very cool, because that's what's going to it could be what kicks off this agent to do something. So, oh, Joelle said, I believe there's a dev heavy way to put it in SharePoint. So dev heavy means it would be like custom programming, like something maybe in Visual Studio, or like writing code. So like I mentioned, we don't usually go kind of that direction and to super technical in Power Hour. So it's much easier if you can just put it in Teams. Now, okay, so let's go look. Again, we were talking about actions. And again, I saw triggers in a screenshot in one of these, this documentation that I've been looking at. So triggers are going to be coming soon, I believe. So if you want to do actions, so this says create an action or browse through a list of actions you want to use to get information from external sources. So this is different than just adding your knowledge. So when I add my knowledge, I'm just adding the URL to these websites that it can use to get information to respond. And it's just you just have a conversation with it, and it's just going to respond like you're talking to a person. The actions are going to be very specific actions, like building a workflow. So this is going to be, go get a row from Excel, go do this specific thing, go send an email. I created this store order Power Virtual Agent in a previous demo. So it's actually letting me, I could tap into that if I want to. Now, if it doesn't, it just has some just generic concepts here. It's just kind of popular concepts that it's just going to show everyone. But if you can't find the action you want to add, you can create a new flow, upload a new skill, or add an API. And this is where you get into the more dev heavy concepts here. So I could create a flow. And again, what's going to happen is when I create a flow, I'm going to define that my new agent is, based on some certain question being asked. The flow is going to kick off and it's going to go say, look for a certain thing in a SharePoint list, go get an item called this, and reply with specific data from specific columns. So you can define, just like anything that you can do in Power Automate, you can have it just kick off the whole flow, that it can just trigger just a whole flow to go off and do something, but it can also respond back. So you don't have to make it respond back to the person, but that'd be very helpful if you create an agent that goes out and looks for something specific in SharePoint or in a spreadsheet and then gives that information back or asks another question. So this is where you're going to get much more specific with these actions. So I'll go ahead and close that. And then I had let's see, where did I see it? Hold on. Skills. So upload a new skill is going to be if you've created it somewhere else, and you can upload it here. Let me say add a skill. So this is, again, this is one of those dev things that learn how to build a skill. This is the bot framework. So if you're a developer, this is where you can get to your documentation on programming and using C# or some of these programming languages to be able to go write very custom skills for it to use. So that's what skills are. So we have all these details in the settings. So just kind of jump me straight to the settings. So what I've done is I've gone through these main tabs up at the top, and let's go ahead and go look at some of these settings that we can tap into. All right, you have your name where you can put your own custom name and icon. Now, I like this generative AI option, so I'm going to choose, this is new. Use generative AI to respond with the best combination of actions, topics, and knowledge. So I'm going to save that. I definitely want it to be generative. So what I'm going to do, let's see, this is the one I already, yeah, I'm going to republish that. Now, you can test it. Kind of what I tested it. I'm not sure you're going to be able to see a huge difference just in one or two little tests, but I turned the generative AI option on, and that is going to make it be more of a conversation and be, let me see, it actually, I looked up the definition of this. Hold on. I think I put that in your notes. Yeah, I put a link in the notes to Microsoft's whole definition of what the difference is right there with what the generative AI is. But it's in preview. I went ahead and turned that on. So if you make changes, you're going to need to go ahead and publish it again. So I don't know, I'm sure I just did that twice, but make changes and publish it. And then now when you all try it out, you'll be able to use that. All right. Okay, let me go back to the settings. So that's again, this is a huge new concept. This is one of the new things. It responds with the best combination of actions, topics, and knowledge. So classic is going to start by using the topics you build, and actions can only be called from inside a topic. And then generative is just going to use its AI brain to figure out the best combination. Okay. Now, once you start getting more advanced and embedding it on a website or something like that, this is where you're going to need to delve more into the security concepts with how people are going to authenticate to this bot. It's got some, I don't know if I necessarily need to go into all this. Just entities have always been in here. These are, if you need to have predefined lists of things, These are static lists of things like colors. So it's just got colors in here. You could have, if you have a static list of what your company's products are or something like that, you have continents and countries and things that it has stored in here. So that's what entities are. You have the ability to use this with voice. So if you want people to be able to use their voice to ask Copilot questions, you can optimize it for voice. You can define what your languages are and things like that. All right, let's see. I think, any other questions about any of this? We've got about 20 minutes left. I'll go ahead and just go into a couple more slides. So it has analytics built in. Of course, it's responsible. And then this is actually this slide deck for, it's a partner slide deck. It has a whole built-in tutorial. I'm not going to do that though. Just going to go to the next slide. Oops. There. Okay. So this, I love Microsoft slides. They're so beautiful. All right, so you can integrate this with Azure AI Studio. This is more for devs, Azure Cognitive Services bot framework. You have analytics. You can publish it to multiple channels. So you don't have to just publish it to Teams or just publish it to a website. You can have it published in a lot of different places. Get enterprise-specific answers using your files, websites, Dataverse, third-party apps, and more. So you can kind of put a lot more information in that knowledge area if you want to. And then you don't have to, you can create specific topics. Notice that a couple of these agents we've created don't really have many topics. They're really just the built-in default ones. So you don't really have to use those. And you can build, if you wanted to, actions and plugins if you are a dev and you want to use an API to call your backend database. And then this slide, I actually pasted this into your notes section with all of Microsoft's URLs that they are promoting for that. So close that. All right, let's see. I want to build an HR bot and tap into the HR hub site that we built. And this is going to be just for fun. Since we built this last time, do you remember, let's see, remember our HR hub that we built? Not test 2, let's go to test 1. We built this last week. So we have all this whole human resources thing that we built in SharePoint. So let's use this concept that I was talking about with somebody needing to ask questions about HR information. And this is the part of Power Hour where I just kind of go off script and I just try something random that I haven't tried before. So I have kind of done this in previous Power Hours where we're tapping into SharePoint, but let's give this a try. So I'm going to create this. I'm going to just say new Copilot, and this is a human resources. To ask questions about HR topics in a friendly and witty way. And then I'll give it the link to this site. And this site has several pages, so let me go see real quick. It has all these pages that were built in. So it's got some, a good bit of data, text that it would be able to search through. All right, do you have any instructions on how your Copilot should assist? So I'm just going to go ahead and click create. And you don't have to keep answering the questions, but it's just kind of helping you, like I kind of already mentioned what I wanted the tone to be. So now this just says HR Help Desk. I could go change the icon and description if I wanted to. And here's where I'm going to add my knowledge. So I'll click Add Knowledge and I'll put SharePoint and put the URL to my site. So here's my HR Hub. And SharePoint will only be available to authenticated end users. Okay, and then I could also add a file. So I know I have like some fake files that I have that have like a dress code and different policies and stuff like that. Let's see, let me grab those demo content. There we go. I actually created some of these fairly recently with using AI. And I'll just put a couple of these. Let's see. Joelle and I created these using Copilot that actually, I think they actually have content in them. So I'll just upload those. Didn't you do that, Joelle?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Because I think we were testing something with Copilot or something like that, where we actually went into Microsoft Word and said, create a dress code policy or create a vacation policy, and it just whipped up a Word document. So that's why I went ahead and dropped those all in here. Now, so I could add actions. That's going to be, again, where I want to have automations that kick off. And let's see, what are our benefits? Let me go look real quick at what some of this content is so that I can ask. So here's something about a president keynote speech. Here's something about medical benefits. So I'll go ask it something about the president. Okay, so the updated medical packages pamphlet has been distributed, blah, 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 blah. So let me go ahead and zoom in on this if you all see it better. So it has all this information about the new 401k packets, and it actually has all the links to, like this one is a link to the changes to medical benefits page. So it's just letting me know. So what did the president say? Since I see that there's a file about the president's speech. Oh, and when you're testing your Copilot, you can track between topics. Is if you're testing your topics out, this little workflow that you see on the left side of the screen, it will actually scroll to the different parts of the topic where it's going as you're testing it, if you'd like to do that, if you are making use of the topics. So now this is letting me know what, now this information, where does this information come from? Yeah. What is the source of that last information? And so I want to see if it's going to point me to that specific page that had that. Right here, President's keynote speech. Oh, see, it doesn't really have much information. So I can see why it just kind of glossed over it. Yeah, okay, no, there it is. So it didn't give me the source in this first question, but it's letting me know that this is the source and it has a link to that page. So I'll go ahead and publish this and publish it to Teams, and we'll see if we can try. I know you all have access to that site. We did it last week, so we'll give it a shot. So you all were able to use the weather one that I shared with you. I think somebody said that they did. Yeah, that was pretty interesting. And all it pretty much used was a weather connector. I tried to ask it about like weather, like in the like a week-long forecast or something. It didn't have that kind of information, but okay. So I published it, and let's go to channels, Teams, and I have to do turn on Teams. So it says it's published, but I didn't do any channels, so it's not, it's not easy to get to. So now I can click Open Copilot, and that's going to open it in Teams. But I can also click Availability Options, and I can choose Copy Link. Let's see. I want to show it to everyone in my org. No, I don't want to do that one. I want to just. I don't want to send an email. Everyone. No, I can't do the Power Hour. No, it doesn't like that one. That is a team, so, but it doesn't like, yeah, name, security group, or email address. Yeah, Joelle. No. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. Again, we're not going to get too much in the weeds with all those different settings, but I do want it to be able to just be available, just like the weather. Now, with the weather one, I didn't do any of this. I didn't go to the screen. I just simply published it and then went to those Teams settings. So be sure to go to Channels and then click on Teams to get back to this screen. And then your details here are where you're going to be able to say Teams multi-user collaborative scopes. So this is going to be a better, just an easier way, like I did with the weather agent, to be able to give everyone access to this Copilot and then enable for Teams and group chats. So that's really, really simple. You just check the boxes. I'll just put my name in here. And click Save, and then I'll need to publish it again since I made some changes. And again, to get that hyperlink to give to you, I click Copy Link. So, all right, I'll publish it again. I'm trying to close out of the screen. It won't close. Okay. Trying to make this screen go away. Okay, well, I just copied the link to my clipboard, but now it's being weird. Okay, I just added it. So this is called HR Help Desk. And I think in the previous agent that I built a few minutes ago, that's those two little check boxes were just the part that I left out. So there's the link. And then we'll go back to the other one that I created and be sure and fix that one. So I'm not sure why I'm not sure why I can't close the screen though. The X doesn't work. I'll just go back to the home page of this. And we'll go check those other two boxes and you'll probably be able to get to that other agent. All right, so I've got all the Copilots I've created are here. So let's do the steps of how to get to that screen where I check the two boxes to share it with you in Teams. So that's going to be an important place to go. So go to Channels and then Teams and then Edit Details. And then here are the two boxes that I checked for you to be able to get to that in Teams. So if you have issues with people not being able to click on a link, that's where that was. And then the copy link is on a separate screen. So when I go to availability options, it's not in the details, it's here. So I copy the link here and then I can go back and I'll post that other one too. So that's two different links that I just posted in the chat for you to be able to try the HR help HR questions agent, and then the IW Mentor course assistant. So do y'all have any last questions? We have about 8 minutes left, but I think I pretty much covered how awesome and easy these agents are. Are y'all getting ideas of how you can try these out and ideas of how these can be helpful in your organization? This could save so many people so much time of answering questions, answering IT help desk questions, having HR benefits and policies and things like that, to just kind of replace just all the tediousness of somebody sitting at a phone answering all the same questions. And there's even a voice channel that you can do, that you can enable. I don't know if y'all saw that here where, let me see, click on that again. Channels, you have telephony. So I can tap into phone calls. So I can let my bot handle phone calls. That would be so cool. So I haven't tried any of this out though. It's again, one of those things that would be a whole other power hour of tapping into the telephony. So it says connect to omnichannel customer service options, and that is going to be Dynamics customer service. So I believe that is a separate license. That's something that I have not purchased, but that is what it's going to use to connect to that. All right, let me see. Get back over here. All right. So, yeah, you all let me know if you have any last questions. You're getting ideas, hopefully, of how you can implement this. There's a free trial. So, if you go to copilotstudio.microsoft.com and you never tried it out before, it just all this is lit up and you can just try it out. The telephony and Microsoft Teams. So, even once your trial expires, I noticed that the telephony and the Microsoft Teams are still available. You just have to purchase a license to be able to use all the other ones. So, all right. Okay, well, thanks everybody for coming. That was a fun power hour. So exciting about these new agents and how easy they are, how helpful they're going to be. So we'll see you all next time. Check out iwmentor.com for all of your Microsoft 365 training, and you can click schedule at the top of the page to find out when the next power hour is going to be. Join in the chat and come hang out with us.